kept you waiting, huh? Hello, Internet, and welcome to the SwirlyCast, the only audio show that can be enjoyed by humans and yokai alike, and is the subject of starting a brand new season. I know, it's the obvious introduction to this episode, but you know what? It's been a long time. We're back with the SwirlyCast, and I am super psyched, and I hope you are too. Anyways, I am your host, Koma. Happy you decided to spend a few minutes out of your day to come hang out. And with formalities out of the way, what is on the mind today? One thing in particular, my friends, we are talking about Doritos Crash Coutse. I know, very weird game to come back to as the first episode of the second season, but you know what? It's a game that deserves a bit of attention, because it has a lot of history that I'd like to go over, so let's get into it. So, for those of you who don't know what this game is, and chances are you probably don't, it was an Xbox 360 game developed in collaboration with, of course, Doritos. It's a licensed game. It isn't the first licensed game that we're going to be talking about on this show, and believe it or not, it's not going to be the last, so that's going to be fun. But this game in particular actually has a bit of history behind it, if you can believe it. Back when this game was released in 2010, it was made as a part of the Unlock Xbox competition between two different games. This being Doritos Crash Coutse and Harm's Way. We are not going to be talking about Harm's Way though, because I think that it's better suited for another topic entirely. But Doritos Crash Coutse, fun fact, is actually the winner of that little mini competition. But what exactly is the game? Because, yeah, I just went over the history. What exactly is the game, Koma? Stop stalling. Well, for those of you who are curious, which I imagine that a few of you probably are, this game is a multiplayer-focused 2D platformer based around reality shows like Wipeout. You know, like one of those game shows where a bunch of contestants run along a stage and try not to fall in and get to the end as fast as possible? Yeah, that's what this game is. But instead of playing it with actual human actors, you're playing it with your Xbox 360 avatars. I know those things have gotten a bad rap. I still think they're cool, so you know, But yeah, that's basically what the game is. It's based entirely around this concept, and it just runs with it. And you know, it makes for a pretty fun game that you can just pick up and play whenever you just want to have a nice, relaxing time. Granted, of course, it's not the right-up challenge. I mean, like, no game is. But it still is nice and comfortable for the earlier stages. And speaking of those stages, they are based off of real-world locations. The America, Europe, and Japan, with each stage gradually getting harder as you go along. And there was also two pieces of DLC released, Las Vegas and London, two extra hard worlds that are based entirely upon those two locations. I don't know why those two locations specifically, considering the fact that we have both America and Europe already. So yeah, Las Vegas and London, they are not cities, they are countries. Heard it here first. But yeah, that's basically about it when it comes to like the locations and all that. And when it comes to the music in these particular areas, they do very well in meshing well with their different cultures. America is very big brassy, you know, has a lot of like guitars and all that. It definitely feels like something out of the 80s, I think. No, not with all the synths and all that. Europe does have those synths though, and if you paid attention during the Xbox Game Pass episode, you can definitely hear that for yourself. In Japan, you know, it has the traditional Japanese instruments that you would think it'd have. Wadaiko, all that. Yeah, it definitely feels like it's from Japan. It's a bit, you know, bland when it comes to that. You know, it's very surface level, but hey, if it fits, it fits. Unfortunately though, Las Vegas and London do not have new music, which I kinda get, but I don't really get, but you know, it's whatever. Anyway, wishy-washiness aside, let's talk about that game's controls, because for a game like this, you need to make sure that those controls are fluid, and they are. Behavior absolutely nailed it when it comes to how this game plays. Essentially, you can use the analog stick or the D-pad to move, which is great for any 2D platformer. And you know, the whole game is built around sliding, speed, and just platform flow. Pretty much, the whole aim of the game is to get to the end as fast as possible. You can run faster by holding down the left and right triggers at a cost. If you hold it down for too long without jumping, you will lose your stamina and you will trip over and lose a lot of time. So basically, you gotta make sure that you can go as fast as you can while holding down the button, but also make sure that you refill your stamina by letting go of the trigger every so often so that you don't end up stumbling over. And another thing to also add to that platform flow is the slide. There's lots of slopes in the game, and using those slopes, you will be able to jump farther than ever before. Really useful for worlds like the early stages in USA and of course in Europe. It makes the platform flow in this game second to none. Well, maybe Sonic, but you know, that's a discussion for another day. But yeah, if you can keep up your speed, you can keep up the momentum, pretty much you will be able to win and get gold medals in this game very easily. It's a lot of trial and error to get good at this game though. But even still, it's nice and comfortable, and it's good in small doses. You know, it's a game that you can just turn on when you got nothing else to do, and you can just practice on it. It's just a game that you can get good at, and I feel like has a lot of potential for speedruns. I'm actually not kidding, because I feel like the game doesn't have that big of a speedrun community, and I feel like that's kind of undeserved. It deserves something like this. And yeah, that's about it for the base game. In terms of Las Vegas and London, they are, of course, harder and they introduce brand new gimmicks not seen anywhere else. Magic hacks in Las Vegas, and cannons in London. Pretty much, they are the hardest stages in the game. Which is really weird to think about, but you know, especially considering that when you unlock them or buy them as part of the DLC, they are right next to their respective countries. Las Vegas is next to USA, and London is next to Europe, so you'd think those two places would be right next to each other after Japan, but what do I know about design? But yeah, that's about it for when it comes to like Doritos Crash Course 1. Because there was actually a sequel released in 2013. That is unfortunately unplayable now. Yeah, the game got shut down because it was a live service game because it wasn't really doing all that well when it comes to its downloads. And to be fair, the game really ran poorly from what I remember. It's still a good game. Like, if people want to go through the effort of trying to revive a game like that, it'd be super cool and it would show others what they've been missing out on. Unfortunately, though, you would have to deal with the fact that that game had microtransactions. Pretty scummy ones at that. Yeah, say what you will about games like that. At least with games like Genshin Impact, you were getting something new. These were just power-ups akin to games like Candy Crush. No thank you. But yeah, as it stands though, like, pretty much, that game is considered lost media. As is another version of the original game called Doritos Crash Course Go, which was released exclusively for Windows 8, which was delisted in 2014 alongside Doritos Crash Course 2. For the same reason, very bad sales and downloads. Which, yeah, is pretty upsetting as you would have been able to play those two games only back in the day. For a full year at that. But I do remember playing Doritos Crash Course 2, and I remember it being not as good as the original in my opinion. Purely down to the fact that it didn't really run all as well. It feels like it was a game made for the Xbox One, but that's besides the point. Basically though, I would be down for a Crash Course remake or just a new game in general, because like, this is a formula that still holds the test of time in my opinion. I mean, that's why Wipeout and American Ninja Warrior, those kinds of TV shows, they've been going on for so long. You know, like brand new gimmicks and all that. We can introduce a whole lot of stuff to a Crash Course remake or a sequel. An actual sequel that you can play without worrying about it shutting down. And you know, maybe introduce like 8-player co-op, you know, that'd be really fun. Because this game was multiplayer focused and unfortunately you can't play online anymore, so that's kind of a bummer, but you can play single player. And I absolutely would recommend that you play this game. Because there's a cool little factoid that I didn't tell you guys about. This is an entirely free game. Las Vegas and London are DLC, but you can play USA, Europe, and Japan completely free. Because this was based on the Unlock Xbox initiative. Both this game and Harm's Way are free, and you can play them if we got an Xbox 360, an Xbox One, or Series X or S. Seriously, it's worth a try, and I would definitely recommend playing it on Xbox One or Series X and S, because it makes the game look really good, because I think it was made for an HD display. I played it on the CRT, it didn't really look as good, but on HD, it looks amazing. And yeah, that's Doritos Crash Course. As much as I would like to go on about this game, it is fairly simplistic, but you know, it's a good time. I recommend giving it a go if you got an Xbox console. And you know, there's no reason not to. It's free. And if you feel like you'll get your money out of it, then go ahead and try the Las Vegas and London DLC. It's worth it tenfold. It's not the best game I've ever played, but for a comfy way to get back into the SwirlyCast and start Season 2 proper, I think that is perfect. But that is all the time we have for now, so this has been Koma, and my friends, fellow viewers, camaraderies alike, thank you for tuning into this episode of the SwirlyCast, and until next time, bye-bye! Also, chickens. This game really likes chickens.